time of uncertainty, two men have emerged. Two men have found a way. Featuring Beechy and Blackers, Pincher, Operator Al, and the Mancologist. It's time for Sunday Night Live.
Here we go.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate, and we are back for another edition of Sunday Night Live with me, Carl Beach, my great mate Nathan Blackerby, we're from Christian Vision for Men, and also Big Phil's with us again this week.
Come
To your
on.
call.
Hold it.
Hold on a minute. Hold that for
There
let's
he is.
all just join in a minute.
Oh, give him
working.
that.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
I like-
And our special guest this week is Shabazz. Big up for Shabazz. You'll be joining us.
Come on.
All the normal stuff will be there with Pincher, and although this week we are not playing battleships, are we, mate?
No, and that's worth just mentioning. Also, if you got comments tonight, then do start sending them in. But yeah, no battleships, because we don't feel like it's creating much interest. So we thought we'd
No.
ask our loyal fan base, you know, what sort of game should we play? What can we do? So send in your comments if you've got any ideas.
So just to recap, we have tried battleships on a board, battleships
Yeah.
on an app. We have
Yeah.
tried rock, paper, scissors, stone. Oh no, rock, paper, scissors. And what else have we done?
Yeah, there's a new version.
That's it. That's it. We were thinking about playing Guess Who. But anyway, so we want your suggestions on that. Anyway, it's been another funny week of twists and turns this week, mate. And we talked a lot, didn't we, during the week? Well, most days actually. And we were talking about the sudden U-turn that the World Health Organization has just put out on lockdowns. So that's going to be interesting. They're now saying we should effectively have the Sweden model. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So obviously big news coming out on Monday, we think, isn't it, from Boris. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens to the country. As for me, you're all right where you are in Essex. Where I am in Sheffield, Big Phil's in Sheffield, and it is the highest infection rate in the country. I'm just 10 miles south of Sheffield. So I was just saying beforehand, I feel quite safe taking the mick out of Phil at the moment because A, he's 10 miles away, and B, he's locked down. He will be from tomorrow. So anything, don't let him say anything. Just keep it. You'll get your turn. Right, so he ain't happy. He's snarling. We won't like when he's happy. So that's going to be unhappy. So that's going to be an interesting week. I don't know what you make of it, mate, but a lot of confusion out there, isn't there? But, which means even more than ever, we've got to keep our eyes looking upwards, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a lot of confusion, mate, and a lot of people get depressed at even the thought of another lockdown. Obviously, I think it's going to be regional, localised lockdown. And as you say, in Essex, we're not seeing a huge surge at the moment, but it affects people. You know, my brother Ben, for example, landlord of a boozer, you know, it's crippling for his business. So it's a really difficult time, mate. But there you go. We are getting some suggestions in for a game. I don't know if you've seen them pop up.
So what we got? I didn't see. How's that
Hangman. Eh?
Hangman, that's a good one.
Hangman, Top Trumps, Charades, Connect. Yeah.
Mate,
lots of
charades
ideas.
could work. Lots of ideas. We'll mull them all over. Keep them coming in. I think that's the best thing to do. Anyway,
Keep them coming in.
I saw a little bit of footage today of a drone firefighting rig. It was gone up the whole apartment block and was shooting jets of water very high power jets targeted right at the base of flames in a tower block.
Hang on,
It's
a
like
drone?
the technology. A drone with a water tank on it.
That's cool.
And I'll try and dig it out for next week. But anyway, the reason I was looking at that was because we were talking about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I think we, I don't know if you got these clips, but we did have some quite scary clips from Boston Dynamics. Let's have a look at these. See if we can get them up. This is a robot dog.
What's it doing, mate?
He's trying to open the door, and the bloke is resisting him. Look, he's trying to resist him, right?
Oh dear.
And he knows how to fight back. Look at that.
Look at it on the lead, look. No way, look at that movement.
They've targeted the dog. They've said to the dog, open the door. So the dog ain't having none of it. He's going to open that door no matter what. Watch.
I used his foot to block it.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
All right. Can I just say, that video, I found that earlier, that's 2 years old.
2 years old. Exactly.
You know how quick technology moves?
That's all they're showing us. You imagine that thing coming, like, hunting you down.
Well,
do you imagine hunting you down?
Yeah. We've talked about that. If you weaponized something like that and it came into a room or a hostage situation, that's a bad day, isn't it? That's a bad day you're going to have.
It's a bad day at work, isn't it? You know, I just think I'll take this. I just think I'll go and do an armed robbery, and then you see 10 of them outside. You think I should have gone on that west.
Mate, the thing is, the question we've got is, will we be able to keep control? And I remember reading something, again, a couple of years ago, where Facebook put two robots together and they were communicating and they had a simple program to buy off each other and sell. And they quickly developed a language that Facebook couldn't understand. So they bypassed Facebook and started talking to each other directly. And Facebook pulled the plug. And that was 2 years ago. So where are we now?
Did they think they pulled the plug? Well, I know other people who speak in a language I don't understand and seem to get results over and above my head, but I won't go into that. Let's have a look at this other. We've got another one. Have we got the other one, Internet? Someone just said that's barking.
He's frowning. He's frowning.
I did send another one, Internet, but we'll maybe come on to it later because I've got one of a... I'm going to send it to you because it is utterly unbelievable. I'm just going to see if I've got it. We might come back to it a little bit later.
Because we were looking at this earlier, and there's a Microsoft, their flight simulator. They've mapped like pretty much the world, haven't they? I mean, it's just incredible.
Oh, here we go. There's loads of stuff. I've got to send this one on because it is utterly astonishing, and maybe we'll come back to it later. But what happens if, like, you can't turn the internet off, can you?
Well, Skynet, mate. Schwarzenegger predicted this years ago.
What did he say?
Well, not directly, but Skynet would one day.
What did he say? What did he say? What did Schwarzenegger say?
Don't push me on my film knowledge. Shabazz has got my back
here.
No,
I'm not pushing on your film knowledge. I'm pushing it on your impersonation.
Oh, you? Oh. No, because I get a lot of stick for doing the Schwarzenegger.
Come on, mate. Don't let your public down.
All right. So Schwarzenegger would say something like, Hi, this is a fantastic opportunity. Come on, do it now. You make me do it. I get embarrassed, but I'll do it.
Well, before we move on to the clip of the week, Internet, did you manage to get that clip? I just WhatsApped you.
Internet can't work that quick. There's no way. Even with that fibre optic beard.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Can't use a YouTube clip.
All right. We'll move on.
Apparently.
Mate, show us what you've been doing. Some other little video clips this week. What you got?
Yeah, so as always, I try and scour the internet for some incredibly rich and compelling footage, and I've found 3 clips that I think need to be shared. So let's have a look. Get to the chopper. The first one. The first one. This guy, he's diving off the edge of a mountain into the unknown. I mean, it's pretty unreal. Hopefully, you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, GoPro. Here we go, mate. Look at this. I like watching this stuff because it makes my hands sweat and I get panicky.
Oh my days!
So it's just like, I'll go for it. Whoa. And he's through. So I'm getting some good support actually. Little plug for GoPro there. Thanks for all the people commenting in on the Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but it's the women who seem to be cheering you on, mate.
Mate, I'll take it. Right, what's this? Oh, this is the video you wanted.
Yeah, go on. Let's have a look. Just have a look at where they might be at now with AI, robotics, hunting people down. Let's see what they got.
Have a look.
What's this?
Yeah, that's not right, is it? Oh dear. All right. That is unreal, isn't it?
We're screwed.
We are in trouble. I think we're in trouble.
We're in a lot of trouble. Everyone comes right. That's not right. And he's right. It ain't right. But the thing is, it's amongst us. They are amongst us.
Yeah, they're already here.
I wouldn't be surprised if you get robotic pastors in churches in the not too distant future. I'm not going to lie, but I think we already have in some churches.
So I want to get these videos up, mate. Can I just say, you sent me a text this week. Do you remember we were talking about my watch? You know that watch I've got that's wood, and we were talking about it. And the next day, you were getting adverts in your feed on Facebook that were wooden watches.
I want to talk about this. I've got, as far as I'm aware, I've turned off Siri. I haven't got an Alexa. I haven't got an Echo. My laptop is old. I think I've disabled pretty much all of that stuff. You've got a very nice wooden watch. We were talking about it. I tried it and I put it on.
Yeah.
The next day, I had wooden watch adverts coming up on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Explain.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You can't explain it, mate. It's scary. I mean, it's listening. We know it's listening. But yeah. Anyway, 2 more videos, and you're going to love these. So can I just say, this next video, you may want to look away, only because if you suffer from claustrophobia, then please look away. Now, I watch this stuff because I like to see if I can endure it, to see if I can actually, because sometimes I get so panicked, I have to look away or turn it off. So just a little disclaimer, this is a video of people in very tight caves, very claustrophobic. It might be painful to watch. Let's have a look. I've never been caving, and I never want to go caving. This to me is just. And we lived
I've
in
been
Ely for a
caving.
little while, and I know
Oh,
there's
no,
some
no,
amazing. Here we go. Oh, it makes me sweat instantly. Oh, that ain't right. Can you imagine if water started pouring in?
So why would you want to do this?
Mate, I've no idea. In a minute, this bloke's covered in
It's
mud.
sliding.
I know.
Oh, no.
We need to get Big Phill in there.
Look, I don't suffer. I don't have phobias. I'm not claustrophobic, but that is
Mate,
just
look at that.
not good, not fun, not why. Can you imagine? Like, you just something happens, like there's some slight shift in a tectonic plate or something, and it just pins you on the back, and then you're done. Just lie there for days, slowly getting dying.
He's out. I forced myself to watch that stuff.
But then he's got to go back.
Yeah. Right, mate, my last video. This was, I think, I've hit YouTube gold here. This is the most surreal, weird video I've found in a long time. Check this out. I don't know what they're doing. So if anyone can shed light on this, it'd be amazing.
Oh, this is the plane combat racing thing, isn't it?
I don't know.
No, what it is, they've got little planes on wires, and they're flying them around. They're going super fast. They're racing each other. Look.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's line control flying. It's really weird. Quite.
Line control flying.
Yeah, they've got the planes on a line, and they're trying to beat each other.
Look at them running around. Anyway, I thought that was brilliant. I was watching that in bed last night. Jenny was like, what is that?
I've got one comment. They need to know the love of a good woman and a saviour.
Moving on. Let's move on, mate. Let's talk to Big Phill.
So, let's talk to Big Phill. Big Phil's back amongst us. Give up for Big Phill. Here he is. Phill is back from Ireland, where he was competing in UK Strongest Man, which starts with obviously the knockout heats and then progresses through to quarterfinals, finals, semi-finals. And those of you who follow on social media, you'll know that Phill got a massive result, having snapped his leg in half under 2 years ago. Literally snapped his leg in half, nearly had his leg amputated. Fought back for a lot of discipline and now faith in God, and he's now the 5th strongest man in the UK and a man of God. Here we go. Give up for Phill. Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. The thing is that we journeyed that with you a bit, and we were cheering you along. Absolutely outstanding result, mate. And well, what you got to say about it?
Back after 2 years. But have I got sound?
No, you're on. The sound went for a minute, but you're back now.
So going back 2 years, obviously when I broke my leg, a lot of people wrote me off. I part of myself wrote myself off as well. But reflecting back in this situation now, going through what I went through that led me to not only be able to come back to competing, but actually find God found me, I found him along the route is such a rewarding experience. And now all of that at UK Strongest Man, I know I came 5th and I've come 2nd before in the past, but in the circumstances provided, I couldn't have hoped for a better result. So it started off with, it's a 3-day competition, so it is potentially one of the hardest competitions other than the World's Strongest Man, because you've got 3 days in a row. So if you imagine people who you go to the gym and you have a really good gym session, and then the next day you feel pretty rough. Okay, you feel pretty sore, pretty swollen. Okay, so times that by 10, because you're not only doing one exercise, you're doing a whole competition. And then the next day, when you're still feeling sore, you have to go back and do the best you can do again. And then on top of that, because it's a 3-day competition, I thankfully made it through to the final. And it was just, so you got 2 days of absolute, very harsh training, effectively, or the competition. And the 3rd day, you just feel absolutely wiped out, absolutely exhausted. Everyone's in the same boat. Yeah. So it was basically going from the last competition I did, I snapped my leg in half, and the doctor said, right, we're going to fight to save your leg now. So to be able to come back and compete at that level straight away was, initially I thought it was stupid. I thought I should have done a warm-up competition. This is absolutely ridiculous. Who do I think I am? Jumping back in the deep end. But it's been worth the while.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And as I said to you, when we were messaging you, to actually go back into that elite level of competing and put your body on the line again, when the last time you did that resulted in a knee amputation, that takes some guts. But one thing we were talking about, which in the time we got, thought would be so good to look at, was there's a little clip of you in action doing a deadlift. Now, before we look at the clip, I put out a post on social media which I need to correct, because I said, here is Phil lifting something like deadlifting. I can't remember what I said.
You said 420 kilos. So yes, I saw the post and I thought, you know what? It's really nice that Carl's put the post in, but he sold me short by 30 kilos. So I straight away I sent a message to Carl, and surprisingly he actually replied to this one. And told him, look, it was actually 450 kilos, not 420 kilos. So I managed to, even with the broken leg, so everything's been fixed up, and I got personal bests. I did way beyond what I thought I did. I had my cross on me all the whole time as well, because I knew God was with me the whole time. And he just helped me through it, even though I was almost like a little girl, I have to say.
But talk us through this bit about God being with you, mate, because let's watch this video, and I think it's a long video, but we're going to set it up from about 1 minute 5, and it's at a point where your body is almost giving up. So talk us through this deadlift and whatever it's called.
Okay, so before you put the clip on, I'll just put the circumstances in. So on the first day, so it's a qualifier, 4 people get knocked out every day. So 16 people start. You lose 4 people every single day to make it to the 8 people finalist. So eight people on the finalist. The first day, I was so humbled and basically said, I'm not good enough to be here. I completely doubted myself. I had no faith in myself. I thought I was going to let everyone down. So I turned it to God, and I basically said, look, why have you put me here? This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. The last time I did a competition, I completely mucked it up and then broke my leg as well. And I was obviously just questioning and saying, why am I going through this? This is absolutely ridiculous. But through, obviously, the grace of God, the first day, I actually went out there and beat the 2019 champion in every single event. And I actually came joint first on the first day. So that was such a shock to me, but it shows my attitude was completely doubting myself. But God had put me in that situation, and he was going to use that situation. And he was my strength for that. But then what happens in the second day, maybe I got a bit overconfident. I thought, oh, you know what? I'm doing really well. And then it all went wrong. The first event was very good, Farmers Walk, so we had to walk with 158 kilos in each hand. So I did quite well in that one. But then after that, it all kind of fell apart. And I remember thinking, I was saying to God, I was saying to God the whole time, what's happening? I know you gave me strength on the first day. Is that all you gave me? And then I did really badly on the second event. And that was like a chain reaction. I did really badly on the third event was actually the Atlas Stones. So going back to face my nemesis effectively, the last time I did an Atlas Stone in competition, I broke my leg. I lifted it and I was safe, but I didn't do very well, which was obviously very disappointing to myself, but at least I got it out of the way. But that put me into the Eliminator final because I was in the bottom 3 out of the 6 that were still remaining in my heat. I had to basically pick up a 300-kilo car, so pick up a car deadlift with 300 kilos in your hands, and it was the last man standing, so the bottom 3. And then this is where I picked it up. It felt nice and light, and I remember I was kind of singing to myself the song, "Our God is an awesome God, He reigns." But I know the day had been going downhill, and I was like, "What's happening, God? You were with me the first day, but it feels like I've almost been abandoned." It's like, what's happened the second day? Is this it now? And then when I picked it up, even though I was singing the song, I remember thinking, this is so painful. My deltoids, my lats, which is all the upper body muscles, they just couldn't. They were basically going to give up. And then, if you play this clip, they were going to give up. And then I prayed to God. I said, "Is this it? Is this all I've got now? Am I out now?" So he left it down. I mean, he left it right down to the last minute. Yeah. Play this clip. And so we're already a minute into holding 300 kilos. And I'll talk you through what happened here. Oh, that's the beginning. Okay, so 2 guys I competed against. Because I did well, I had to pick up laps. So I got a lot of today. I did better than the other guys anyway. And basically, we just have to stand there holding that for the longest time. The last man standing manages to get through to the final.
Let's go, boys! Come on now!
And the first guy's out. You can see the guy behind the red car. He's an Irishman. And then it was me representing England against the Welsh chap. Desmond was a lovely guy as well. And at this point in time, so what happens is the weight isn't too bad. 300 kilos to myself isn't too much. But what happens is your muscles get filled with lactic acid, and then what your body has to do is shift the lactic acid. And I think you can see at some point you can see. Do I start wobbling here?
Come on now, stay there. Yeah. Come on.
This is 1 minute mark. Okay, so start wobbling. You know what? This is the point where I'm thinking, is this it? Is this all going? God help me, give me the strength. And He gave me the strength. And you can see, I pushed my hips forward and my arms went back. I started shaking. And then as soon as I looked over to him there, I looked over to him. I felt at peace. I felt I could do another minute. And then you see it. And then I look over to the guy and I smile. And I felt, you know what, I could do another minute now, which was absolutely baffling to me.
I mean, that is a cool clip.
Yeah.
That is a cool clip. You actually see your body going. Yeah, and then you just see yourself rock solid again. So, mate, absolutely amazing testimony that. And it's so good to have you back this week to share the war stories. But that's huge. But what I absolutely love about it is that you're praising God, wearing your cross, and that your hashtag put God first. And He came up for you, didn't He?
Yeah.
So absolutely amazing.
Yeah, because I remember on the second day, I was panicking. I was thinking, right, God, I will always follow you. I will always follow you and do the best I can for you. But is this it? The day 1 was so good. Why has it gone so badly on day 2? And it just kept going down and down. And then at the last minute, it feels like God basically said, you know what? You kind of stuck with it. You carried on having faith. And you said that I'll follow you regardless. If I'm out, I'm out. That's fine. But I don't want to be out. And
Well,
he
that's
just
the attitude,
left
isn't
it,
it?
left it literally to the last second or two, I think.
That is
But
the
he came through,
attitude.
and
Win, lose or draw. Win, lose or draw. God is good, and that's the bottom line, isn't it? Anyway,
absolutely.
mate, thanks so much for sharing that. We've got to move the show on. So let's hear it up for Phil. Absolutely amazing test through that. Nice one, mate. Powerful man, being powerful for God. I think before we have our live interview, Nathan's going to interview our mate Shabazz. We'll just hold on a minute. Me and Nathan, we've been doing a bit of flexing, haven't we, mate?
Oh, mate, always. If I'm not on camera, I'm flexing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've got to do a little warm up, mate, down in the bottom, mate. In between interviews, I'll do a little bit. I'll just get the pump. You know, that's what it's all about.
Let's have a little
Anyway,
music.
I think it's time. I think it's time for some music. Oh, I'm going to pass it up.
From a dusty cabin miles away, it's the man known only as Pincher. It's only Pincher's Music Trivia.
Here we go. Let's have some music and then we'll get Shabazz on.
Yeah.
Is Pincher there?
That's it. Where is it?
Well, evening,
I don't know.
evening, Carl, Beechy, evening, Blackers. How you doing?
Oh, evening, mate.
Rhetorical question because I'm on a pre-record. I'm out at a vinyl show, looking at some records, topping the old thing up. And actually, this week, as highlighted, I need to get one particular single, but more of that in a minute. So this week, I thought what we'd do is we'd have a look at a couple of absolute heroes, great musical influences who've sadly died this week. You've probably heard both of them. The first one is, of course, the incredible Eddie Van Halen. Wow, what can you say about Eddie Van Halen? I mean, Van Halen were a band who started in 1974, I think it was, and they took rock guitar. Eddie Van Halen took rock guitar to a new place. Influenced so many people over the years. And his brother Alex was the drummer in the band. David Lee Roth, lead vocalist, later replaced by Sammy Hagar. And he just was amazing. He took the two-handed tapping stuff to a new place, and they had some amazing hit singles. But of course, the thing that started it was on Van Halen 1, which I think I've queued up here. And this is Eruption. I mean, wow. Listen to this. He took this from, the influence to this from some Heartbreaker on Led Zeppelin 1. I mean, wow. It just just incredible. I can't play it all, I'd love to, but look it up. Amazing piece of rock guitar that came out in 1978 on their first album, Van Halen 1. Do check it out. And of course, Eddie Van Halen was the guy who played the solo on Michael Jackson's Beat It. There he is on the cover of the album. Eddie Van Halen died this week. And the other one, of course, is Johnny Nash. Now, this is where stuff gets a bit awkward, really, because his most well-known song was I Can See Clearly Now, which I don't have on a single, which is really, really quite bad. I got it on this K-Tel album. Those of you from the 70s will know these original songs, original stars. They were advertised all over the telly. And this one, 20 explosive hits. Got some great stuff on it, though. Look at this. What a track list. But this is, we're going to go for track 9 on side 1. I Can See Clearly Now. Now, Johnny Nash was a massive influence on reggae all across the world. His first single, massive hit in '72, was I Can See Clearly Now, which we're going to play a little bit of in a minute. But he was massively influential in the career of Bob Marley. He brought Bob Marley over in 1972 to England and played. He played support on the tour. It's actually a brilliant documentary about that. I think it was on Sky fairly recently. Amazing what Johnny Nash did. A lot of people thought he was Jamaican. He wasn't. He was from Houston in Texas. But I Can See Clearly Now was a great song, and he also did a great cover of Tears on My Pillow, various other stuff throughout the years. Never really massive. I'm just going to make sure I'll get the right track. This could be good. Let's see if we can find track 9 on here, somewhere around about here. Hang on a second. We're about there, I think. Here we go. Let's see what we got here. Not bad. We just get the end of. Listen to that. The end of. I didn't get that right. Oh dear. No. Let's go on a little bit. Here we go. So Johnny Nash, massively influential, and from Houston, Texas. But again, as I say, Stir It Up. He had a great big hit with Stir It Up in 1973 in America and 1971 in the UK. Stir It Up, Bob Marley. So this week we're just going to have a quick listen to those two guys. Eddie Van Halen, massive influence on rock guitar in the 80s, tail end of the 70s when he burst through with that Van Halen White, and of course Jump, massive song. But interestingly, Eddie Van Halen played keys, synth on Jump, not guitar, and Johnny Nash. So rest in peace, both of you guys, and I'll be back live next week when I think I'm going to have a little bit of a look back at a classic disc jockey, which you'll enjoy, I hope, and his influence on music. So take care, have a great week, fellas, and God bless you all. Bye.
He's a good old boy, isn't he, Pincher?
He's a good old boy. Do you know, I went to Pincher's cabin not so long ago, and he kept his back to me the whole time. I still don't know who he is, but he gave me a whole load of vinyl duplicates from my little vinyl player. Yeah, I've got some Tubular Bells. I've got a bit of Dark Side of the Moon. Got a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, he's a good old boy. Hopefully, he'll be back live next week. Anyway, mate, it's over to you now, I think, my friend.
Yes, mate. Yeah, let's have our live interview, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, Beechy and Blackers bring to you the Sunday Night Live interview.
No expense spared on the transitions. Come on, let's get Shabazz on. Let's see him.
Next level. Get me off. Get him on.
Hello, get mate. Off, Beechy. Hello, mate. Thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you.
It's good to be here, man. Good to see you. I love the intro music. Love it.
So let's do a little introduction. So Shabazz, we've been mates for a few years now. We're in a men's group together. And I thought it'd be really cool to get you on the show and just hear a bit of your story, hear some of the stuff you're passionate about, and really push into what you might be doing in the future with these passions and the music, the creativity. So, mate, tell us a little bit about yourself, the upbringing, background, family. Let's hear a bit about you.
Yeah, really great to be on the show, man. Thanks for inviting us. It's lovely being here. I'm 45. I grew up in care. Grew up in children's homes. I was put in my first children's home at 9.5 months, and grew up as a child of the system, I'd say. I was the youngest of 7 boys. Most of us were in the children's home as well. That's 7 boys on my mum's side. On my father's side, I'm from a huge family. I'm probably the middle brother of 21 kids, and so we've got quite a lot of numbers and siblings and stuff. And I got into being quite good at drawing, got into, I went to be a comic illustrator and animator when I was young. I used to write to Stan Lee and ask him if I could join the old Marvel crew. Got into comics and stuff. Seriously, literally, this is, I've never actually shown you this. It's like one of the comics that I got, that I did when I was young. got it into Forbidden Planet. Yeah, really loved illustration and the ability to just create worlds of my own and bring them to life. And eventually that transitioned me into being a filmmaker. So by the time I was about 18, my first job, I worked for MTV, started to fly around the world filming celebs doing their things and stuff, and just really got passionate about the whole idea of creating stories and narratives that can move people and share new worlds with people and stuff. I'm a huge geek as well, so I love the Marvel universe.
Mate, amazing. And you are such a creative guy. You've always got loads of ideas, different projects you're working on. We won't talk about them here, but, behind the scenes, you've got loads of stuff you're working on. Where does that creativity come from? Have you always been that way, or something you've worked on?
Yeah, I think, like I said, comics are a great way to get young people and kids into creativity. And so I picked up my first comic when I was 11, and the rest was history. I knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, which was anything that was connected to stories and characters and dynamic worlds and stuff. And I'm not there yet. Trust me, I'm not a huge filmmaker that everyone would know of. I'm still on a journey, and so watch this space. But I became a Christian when I was 12 as well, and that really opened up my creativity. I think it kind of taught me a little bit about, well, here you have one of the most powerful beings alive, Jesus Christ, and he walks around telling stories. He becomes a little bit of a storyteller, doesn't he? A little bit of a filmmaker of these days. So it kind of led me in the right direction. That I think I've chosen the right career path.
Amazing, mate. So in the margins, guys watching this won't know, but obviously in our band of brothers, when we meet up, we talk about loads of stuff that we can't talk about as one of the rules. But mate, obviously 2020 has been an interesting year, and we're going to talk a little bit about unity in diversity, because that was the kind of video tease that you put out. You didn't say unity within race. So is this a recent thing that you've decided to start talking about, or has this always been bubbling up in the background? I mean, what's happened for you to get you to this place in the journey?
Massive question, mate. I think recently I came to a point of like a huge milestone point in my journey of race and living with race, living in a racialized society, a society that won't let you forget what color skin you have. I think for me, genuinely thinking about it, I started my journey about 8 or 7 when I realized, or I was told, that I was black. You kind of think that it's obvious and you'll kind of grow up and understand who you are, but no, society informs you and tells you who you are. And I genuinely, this is no word of a lie, when I was in the children's home, I remember I always heard about this term black, these black people. I heard this term black people. And as a kid, if you think, you don't really understand what that is. No one socialized you or racialized you or helped you appreciate how society chooses to distinguish what is white, what is black, what is yellow, what is red. You just kind of have to just stumble into it yourself. So at about 8, I heard about this term black people. I didn't understand it. And I was genuinely, I remember now, I got a bit emotional thinking about it the other day, that when I discovered that, I actually was one of those black people that society was talking about, it caused me to be forced into being racialized and appreciating what society meant when it was talking about color. And obviously, we know that society and the world, the media, it won't let color go. We're constantly in a situation where it always comes up. And I think all of us this year were surprised because in March we all thought, oh my gosh, we're facing probably the biggest crisis since the Second World War. We're facing a global pandemic. Nothing like this has ever been seen before. And what pops up its head again? Race. And the only thing to almost, be bigger than a global pandemic has been what could be considered as a civil rights movement. Some might see it as a race war. Just the whole way by which we continuously have this discussion about race. So it causes us to ask ourselves, what is it? How can we solve the issue of racial disharmony? I say racial brackets because, like I said, I think that there's problems in the whole definition and descriptor as to what actually is a race. Where does someone's blackness end and another person's whiteness begin? Where, to people who have dual heritage, what exactly are we? What are we speaking about when we talk about race? Is it something that is fixed within our biology? Is it something that we can contend with? And so, I just recently became challenged about actually looking into the deep roots of race and working out whether there is a solution for some of our problems that society seems to be having in the actual definition of race itself.
Yeah, mate, that's fascinating, and I love hearing you speak about this stuff because obviously you're just so passionate about it. And you've said before that it's sort of almost a social construct, race. I mean, how have you seen that? Have you experienced that? And I guess I'm asking as well, have you experienced the negativity, even in the UK, growing up as, let's use a title, as a black man? What was that like for you?
Yeah, obviously I have, and I tend to not go over the stories because we've all heard the stories, and it becomes kind of like, do you believe me or do you not? So I won't bore you with any of the issues or problems I've had, but one small thing was, I remember I grew up in Kent, and I was the only person that had my pigment in my whole school, and I in order to actually defend myself from any attack or abuse, I fought my way to become the second strongest or the second best fighter in the school. There was only one guy who was better than me, a guy called Danny, and he was a lovely chap, so we never had any trouble. But I thought about it the other day. I was like, look at that. Even as a 12-year-old, I was thinking about how to become aggressive or strong so as to defend myself. So if anyone did call me the N-word, it was from halfway down the road because they knew that I was the second best fighter in the school, and I was like, dude, we really need to change something in society, because if not, our kids are going to continue to repeat some of the mistakes that we unfortunately had to grow up with and make. And so, my own experience has been a mixed one, and it's something that's, I think, helped me be stronger in my convictions towards wanting to be a part of the solution. I always say to people, you can be a beef maker or a peacemaker. I don't want to create beef or create more trouble or add to the vicious circle that is this paradigm we can't get rid of there being disharmony in society over the colour of our skin, something that none of us can help. We were all born this way, not by any choice of our own. If we could offer a little bit of love and empathy and compassion towards one another, because those are the only things that are going to really change society. It's not going to be legislation. It's not going to be more process. It's not going to be a war. God forbid it's ever a quote-unquote race war. It's not going to solve anything. Love, compassion, and all the things I think I grew up learning as a Christian kind of makes me realise, dude, there's so much we can do to actually pour some love into society, to genuinely try and push back some of the hate that's just not going away anytime soon.
So, mate, you've done a load of strategic thinking on this stuff, and what are some of the practical ways or ways in which we can learn unity and diversity? I mean, what are some of your thinkings around how we can move forward?
The biggest and most effective thing for me, and I mentioned it earlier a minute ago, and it sounds like a cliche and it sounds so obvious, but the biggest thing is empathy. I keep pushing it to people. If every time, if we considered, if we want to, I don't like the word racism. I hardly ever use it. I call it skin discrimination, skin prejudice. Because if I truly believe that we are all one race, and so racism is almost an oxymoron if we are of the same race. Anyway, if every time we have that hatred grow up in us that makes us want to insult someone who has a different pigment skin color than us, if we chose to be empathetical at that point in time by seeing the world through that person's eyes, I think it would be amazing. There's this amazing quote from To Kill a Mockingbird. You remember Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird? He said, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it. If every time we fought to call someone a name that had some kind of, discriminatory or prejudice kind of slur about the color of their skin, like I said, something that they can't help. Every time we did that, we put ourselves in that person's skin. We had genuine empathy.
Yeah.
Society would start to shift in regards to the problem.
Mate,
So that's one.
Yeah, mate, amazing. I mean, you've got obviously loads of ideas on this, and it's really powerful. Let's talk Mono Gene, because that was really interesting in terms of a way in which you're expressing this stuff creatively. Do you want to just talk a little bit about Mono Gene, what it's about, how it came about, and what it means?
Mate, thank you. So Mono Gene, spelled mono and gene. It basically it's a new collective. I smile because my mates Mark and Jamie, the other guys in the group, they don't like me calling it a band because band sounds like a boy band. Like, dude, I'm 45, I'm not in a boy band. But it is musically orientated. We basically it began this way. So Jamie's a musician. Jamie Price is a phenomenal musician. I genuinely say he's Bono undiscovered, in that he's so talented. And so he calls me up now, a day after the protests in London, the BLM protests, and he basically wanted to apologise to me because he said he had a couple of rants on Facebook about people not being like social distancing and covering their, wearing masks at this protest. Something that he's legitimately able to do, and everyone has a freedom of speech to do so. And you know how sensitive things are right now in terms of society. People are getting eaten alive over, silly things, being called a racist and every name under the sun. And he basically probably got a lot of that feedback from people online. And he was like, what a lot of my, close brothers who have different pigment skins to me, go through, where they're like, I'm not a racist. And it becomes this kind of like unfortunate, constant struggle to try and prove that you're something you're not. Just prove that you're not something that people claim you to be. So anyway, he calls me up, long story short, and tries to apologise. And I was like, dude, you don't have to apologise. I totally understand what you were saying. And I was at the protest that he was ranting about as a kind of like journalist, wanting to find out like what this whole thing was about. It was a brilliant time going to the protest and seeing everything, firsthand. And anyway, in that conversation, and it's a huge thing, Nathan, conversations open up the door for a lot of change in society. In that one little conversation, we spoke about music. We spoke about a track that we were supposed to have recorded 15 years ago, and we didn't do it. And we were like, you know what, dude, why don't we do a track? Why don't we make a song? And he at the time was doing a weekly song every week for NHS. And he was like, dude, I've got a slot at the end of the month of me doing these songs. Why don't we do our song then? And the rest is history. We basically wrote that song and put that song together. And initially the song 15 years ago was going to be about street crime. And as I sat to start finishing the song in this current climate, George Floyd killing, BLM, pandemic, I was like, dude, I can't write about street crime. I need to write about this issue. And so I started to write about, not even, I don't want to call it racism. I started to write about what we really have lost as a society when it comes to identifying the fact that we are one race. Where did this whole idea of race come from? Why is it separated the human family? And you're a Christian organisation, CBM. You will know as well as I is. There's no racism. There's no race in the Bible. It's not an actual biological or historical term. Race, as it is conceived, came from a gentleman called Blumenbach. If you type in Johann Blumenbach, only in the 17th century it's been created. And it was created, and I need people to appreciate and understand that race in and of itself has hierarchy attached to it. You can't have race without hierarchy. It was created as a hierarchical structure for the way society should be formed, with black people at the bottom and white people at the top. Unfortunately, it's a truth, and so there's problems in us now knowing it's a myth and agreeing to still go along with it, almost as though no one knows that the elephant's in the room. But it does, unfortunately, seep into some of our psychology and our ideology. And so I wanted to write music about that in a polite and loving way, without being polarizing. And that's what Mono Gene is.
Amazing, mate. So cool, and it's a real privilege, mate, to have you on, because the way you share this stuff, just so humble, and we're getting some amazing comments in, guys, as well. Like, people are really encouraged by what you're sharing and how you're sharing it. And I think for me and you as well, mate, we're going to listen to the song in a minute just to finish up, but through both of us, with this Christian lens, this Christian filter that we live by and direct our lives by. You're right in terms of race in the Bible, and what I love, and we chatted about this offline and stuff, that the Bible kind of puts us together and says everyone has fallen short. Like, we're all together as a human race, and as that all together human race, we needed one man's blood to set us free, and that's why we follow Jesus, right? Because he did it for us, for all of us. It's amazing.
He tells us to love our neighbour, doesn't he? It's like the biggest line that everyone knows. Jesus said, love your neighbour. He didn't say love your skin colour. He said love your neighbour. And chances are your neighbour might have a different skin colour than you. He tells us to go into all the world and do everything. If I go into all the world, I'm going to meet people with different people's skin colour than me. And so it's almost so obvious we don't need to say it, but it makes me kind of feel like the church, if we really want to be fit for purpose, here's a problem in the racial problem that we can solve if we apply a lot of the love and empathy, like I was saying before, that we've been told to. So amazing. It's a challenge, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it certainly is. We'll have a quick listen to this. How can people find, Mono G and your stuff, and how can they catch up with Jamie? What's the best direction to point people?
Thank you for asking, mate. If you want to go to monogene.world, we've just launched a new website. It's very bare bones at the moment. It's just got some of our music on, so you can let the music. We want to let the music speak for itself, and that's obviously Monogene, MONOGENE.world. Monogene.world.
Awesome, mate. Amazing. Let's listen to a minute of this quick, and then we'll finish the show off. Big Al, let's have a listen.
What makes the measure of a man? The measure of a man, or the measure of a man's skin? How can a man truly measure up when the level's based on the color or shade he's been raised to hate? What did Einstein say? The definition of insane is doing the same thing over again, expecting change. But until we change the way we seek change, it's guaranteed we won't see change. We've been heading in the right direction since King had a dream. Despite progressing, we've seen the same theme of digressing further than our progression. Lessons of the past we're forgetting. We're obsessed by our difference, distressed by our difference, impressed it would seem at the way that we distance ourselves from our distant relatives. It's more than all relative. Humanity shares heritage.
Is this the life we want, or is this the life we long for? The life we want, or is this the life we long for?
Blood's more thicker than skin. Why don't we judge one another by the color of what's under the skin? We'd be brothers from different mothers, like dozens of different cousins, all of different colors. The theory of a favorite race is a disease that poisons humanity, feeding on the greed. A fictive, pseudo-scientific, descriptive concept that cons us of our oneness. One race is the race we all ran, and one together. It's the grace of living under the sun together. So let's erase this destructive social construct which causes so much.
Very cool, mate. So, we didn't say you can also rap. We left that one out.
Can I just say as well, like, I never thought I'd start rapping again. This is not me trying to be a young rap star and all that. I just thought, you know what? If I can put my talent to anything, this is a worthy cause. So I tell people I got a day pass from the rap retirement home and managed to get back on the mic, as they say.
Amazing, mate. Proper talented bloke, and a real privilege, mate, to have you on. Thank you so much. Big round of applause for Shabazz. Come on. Beechy.
Yeah, beautifully challenging stuff, don't it? Fantastic vision, and yeah, just beautiful. I need to watch that back actually and take some of those comments in again a little bit later. Before we do finish, though, I tell you, it has inspired me to get rapping again myself.
I think you should, mate. It's been a long time.
Anyway, listen, just before we go, I've got a little snag on something.
Oh, go on.
I've, I moved house to my safe house, and my internet's been a little bit wobbly, and I found out there's a deep sea cable that connects all, you know, the internet, it bounces up to satellites and stuff, and suddenly comes with optic fibre cables under the sea.
Yeah.
And I found out that one of the reasons my signal's dropping out is I need a little bit of welding. One of them needs a little bit of welding, deep sea welding. I need to do a bit of deep sea welding. But I don't even know where it's like hyperbaric welding. I mean, where do you even start with a bit of hyperbaric welding? Mancologist, deep sea welding?
How to deep sea weld. Firstly, identify the site and material of the joint to be welded, as most underwater welds involve steel, but materials may vary. Prepare a chamber to place around the joint. Each joint should have a separate chamber. Introduce gas into the chamber. Typically, you'd use a gas mixture of helium and oxygen, but that may vary based on the specific joint to be welded. Obviously, as you know, pressure of the chamber should be slightly above that of the surrounding water. Run a power supply to the chamber and set up a port for your electrodes. Multiple electrodes will likely be required and should be placed in advance in front of the area of the joint to be welded. Now is the time to dive to the weld site. Once there, turn on the power supply and weld the joint from outside the chamber. Ensure that the flux coating of the weld is coming off as expected and that too much hydrogen is not approaching the joint. Turn off the power supply as soon as the welding is done.
I would not have gone for the flux coating. Anyway, big up to Shabazz, Big Phill, Pincher, internet from me and Nathan. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.